Mission. Here's the question I get. Okay, Charlie, give me the definition of mission. And if you look it up in the dictionary, it says a vocation or calling of a religious organization, especially a Christian one, to go out into the world and spread its faith. And I think that's a very shallow definition of what mission is. The word mission itself comes from the Latin verb missio, which means to send. So mission literally means to send. And you see in the scriptures that verb, missio and send, is used a ton, over and over again, to send. But there's a sense in which the whole life of a church and the whole experience of Christians are rooted ultimately in some kind of sending out to help people. It's founded in the authority of God Himself to do mission work. But Jesus gives us a much better definition of mission. Much better. You read the Gospels, it's full of it. You want the Gospels to mean something to you? Do mission work, and they explode. Literally, the Gospels explode when you start doing mission work. Because you start reading, you're like, oh, I know what they're talking about. Oh, I know that feeling. Oh, I know what's going on. But Jesus shows us what mission is and what it means, nonstop throughout the Gospels. Mission is building relationships one-on-one with people and helping them out, walking with them side by side through happy times, through sad times, through the tears, through the anger, through the tough, through the great. It's a face-to-face issue with Jesus. And we live in a world that no matter the situation, people don't stick around anymore. People tend to bail when things get tough. We have so many people that they're your best friend until things get a little iffy, and then they're like, see ya, I'm out. Jesus was not that way. We show people what the rock of Jesus looks like by walking with them through it all. All of it. And that's what we're trying to get across with mission. We struggle with it because it's not what we do as much. And here's the part. So when I was going through, so I have my sermons done through Easter. I don't work well if I don't have it scheduled out and done. And this sermon, I kept pondering it, going, what am I missing? I'm missing something in this first piece of define it for me. And it was 11:30 at night when it hit me. I need to go to my spiritual discipline book, 12 spiritual disciplines. And I found what I was missing. Because the part we forget about mission is our faces. Our faces are arguably the most vulnerable part of our body because we don't hide them. We don't cover them. We don't do anything. God gave us these muscles in our faces, and only 5 muscles in our face are needed to survive. But we have 43. And because of those 43, when you walk up to somebody, they know if you're happy, if you're mad, if you're sad, if you're stressed. You can try to hide it all you want. This doesn't lie. They know if you're lying. They know if you're telling the truth by what those 43 muscles can do. And the first time I read that, I'm like, I don't know if that's a curse or a blessing, that God gave us those 43 muscles that show off so much. But we're so vulnerable that way because we can't hide it. We try, but it doesn't lie. People know what kind of mood you're in by looking at you. You just can't. Anyone who's married knows exactly what I'm talking about. You know? Today I corrected Stephanie on music. I'm like, honey, you're a little flat. It was like, gonna die when we get home. You know, and we struggle with that part because we live in a world right now where we're losing the ability to communicate face to face. We're absolutely losing that ability. We don't face it anymore. Anything that's tough anymore, people send a text. We are no longer dating. Bye. We don't deal with the hard stuff face to face. It's funny because, I wasn't in high school that long ago. And we didn't have cell phones. And if you did, you were rich, and they were a bag that was about this big, and the phone was like this long. And all the dials were on the back of it, or the numbers were on the back of it. When we had a problem with somebody, you had to face up to them, which meant resolution happened quicker. You couldn't avoid somebody all the time at school. And sometimes that led to some really tough face-to-face reaction with people. That doesn't happen now. People don't have the coping skills anymore to deal with it face-to-face because they don't have to. Now, I want you to think of one time in the Bible that you can think of Jesus dealing with people where he didn't face-to-face them. Can you give me one example where he didn't face-to-face? Because when I got into this and I'm like, okay, it's the face-to-face part I'm missing, all I thought about was in Luke 8 when Jesus is amongst the crowd and there's this huge crowd gathered around him, and he feels somebody grab his robe, and he knows some power went on of him, and he asks, who touched me? And his disciples are like, there's so many people, we have no idea. And he stopped everything. He said, who touched me? And this woman finally got nervous enough, and she walked up to him, and it was me. And what did Jesus do? He reached out, and he touched her face and said, you are healed by your faith. Jesus just wanted to see her. He wanted to see her face to face and tell her you're healed. He could have just kept right on walking because she was healed when she touched him. But in this crowd of all these people, that woman was important enough for Jesus to stop and say, no, I want to see you. I want to meet you face to face. And he reached out and said, you are healed by your faith. We don't do that anymore. We've lost that ability. It's the ultimate example of face-to-face mission. Because he could have walked on, she would have been healed, and he could have just kept right on moving. But if you notice, if you've read the Gospels throughout, he notices everybody, and he goes at them. And he meets them face to face. Goes at them. And that's the part we can't lose. And we have to bring that back into our mission work that we do. Troy's heard me say this to multiple times. When you're doing mission and people come back and say, hey, we did this, I'll say, who'd you meet? And if you can't tell me anybody you met, why'd you go? That's like saying, oh, I can just write a check. Don't make me do any work. Here's the money. Don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with writing checks. I don't mean that. But it's the reaction of that we don't have to face people anymore if we just write the check. That's not what we're called to be, or who we're called to be, or how we're supposed to be with people. We're called to meet them face to face. It's hard. It's challenging. I am terrified about the trip I'm taking in February. Terrified, because I'm going to see little kids who are hurting, and I'm going to be terrible with that. And I'm already praying and discerning, like, help me be the one who doesn't just crumble when I see it, because that's what's going to happen. But I need to face it. I need to. I can't ignore it any longer. I need to come face to face with those people. Need to do it. And when you look at this church as mission, we've come so far in 2.5 years. There is so much great mission work going on here. So much. But we're so far from what we're actually called to be, but we're on the right trail, so don't get me wrong. I'm not being negative. I'm being very positive. And we're going to celebrate those accomplishments as we go here in the next few weeks. But the thing is you all have to come next Sunday to see Dr. Darrell Dopp is preaching. And we have an incredible thing coming in 2020. And it's Rebel. It is Rebel Jesus to a T. And it's going to push people to where they've never been. And it's going to cause growth that we didn't know was possible. And it's going to be scary, and it's going to be out of our comfort zone, and it's everything we're supposed to do. Everything. We're supposed to face-to-face people and help them, walk with them through all, thick and thin, rough, bad, good, indifferent. It doesn't matter. And it's going to challenge you, and this is going to be a very challenging sermon series. So the challenge this week is here. I got a question for you. How much FaceTime do you spend with people, face-to-face time, not FaceTime, face-to-face time do you spend with people now? With your friends? With the ones you love? There's nothing wrong with FaceTime. I use it so my dad can see my daughter all the time in Texas. It's a great thing. It's better than texting. But how much time do you spend face-to-face with people? How much? How often do you go to work and walk around and shake people's hands and look them in the eye and say, "Good morning, how are you?" That's the beginning of mission, is learning to face-to-face with people. My brother John is the CEO of a company, owner of a company. The reason he's so successful is because he treats every single person exactly the same, regardless of their job. And he goes out of his way to make sure they know that. He talks to them all. They all know the boss. And they know him personally. That's why he's successful. He face-to-face with people. That's how we're called to be. So the challenge is it's time to start acting like Jesus and start working face-to-face with people. In all that you do, you're going to have to get rid of the hula hoop that surrounds you. The hula hoop that surrounds you. And work on that, face-to-face. By the way, she's an exceptionally missional person that I'm picking on. Not a little. Exceptionally missional person. And start face-to-facing with people, because it's what we're called to do. Amen?